make things happen. The drag in the bottom from Goku, the Twilight Dream, it was like they were just trying a little too much to make something happen.
It just feels like they're trying a little too much, not only in their play, but in their drafts. And I think that their drafts, they're not as comfortable as we've known Team 12 to play. I'm sure they've practiced it, but in terms of what we've seen from them competitively, it doesn't feel the same. It doesn't look the same draft-wise, and it feels like they're trying to do a little bit too much. And when they're not as familiar with it, they try and make the big plays.
It's like Zealots actually picked this battleground, which means first pick goes over to Tyrion.
Ah, that makes a lot more sense to me. It felt
Now my brain was
confusing.
processing. I'm like, wow, they get the first ban and first pick? Jeez.
Yeah.
Okay, well, Team 12 coming in here, getting the Tyrael as their first pickup right away. Maiev will not be available. Again, Zealots keeping it away from them. Now, on the other side for Zealots, what are they going to build into? Are they going to move in the typical meta that we've been seeing lately? Will they go ahead and try and grab maybe some more strong solo damage for those Immortals? I mean, Greymane goes up in priority a little bit here.
Now, when we're looking at what they played in the season, this is actually one of the interesting parts, because when we look at the Zealots and what they did in Europe, they drafted Hanzo more than any other hero on this map. And this is something that we see now a lot less, just simply because Hanzo is very vulnerable against... With Maiev coming in, a lot of the heroes that you would usually try to get rid of when you play Hanzo are now all of a sudden available to the opponent's team. So you can dive way heavier. But instead, they're going still into one of those double support combos. So their go-to, as we talked about it earlier, was Hanzo with Tassadar and Uther. And now we still have the Tassadar in the early rotation, but they played with Tracer, who throughout the entire tournament has already shown a lot of wins for the teams that picked her.
They didn't get the Malfurion. They left the Malfurion, but they instead wanted to get the Tassadar instead of Malf. That's been the combo so far for Tracer. To be fair, Zealots have always ran the Tassadar here. They love that W build, dropping the side storms and poking. So that's pretty interesting to see there.
It's interesting to see. Now, Michael Udall stands in this position throughout the majority of the day, and what he says about a first pick Blaze is that it doesn't necessarily show any part of your draft, because Blaze can be the solo laner, Blaze can be your main tank.
Sure.
It kind of wonders where you fit. Tyrael kind of is that same way when you look at Team 12 specifically, because they are not afraid to run a very melee-heavy composition. They've done this multiple times with Cure going over to that Tyrael play. So there's a lot, but when you get Cassia Genji, that's not going to be the case.
Yeah, 4 Tyrael players on Team 12, as we saw Dansky play it yesterday. And talking about Tyrael specifically, yes, he has not had a good win rate throughout Part 1 and throughout this tournament, but in this series, he is undefeated so far.
And let's also talk a bit about Cassia here. As we mentioned before, Team 12 hasn't played Cassia yet. And we're not only talking about the Western Clash, we're talking about 2018. So right now, that's definitely a bit new for them. And they play around the blinds against Tracer. And coming back to the point that you made about Malfurion, I really feel that they just looked at the draft and said, okay, if we pick Malf and Malf Tracer, there's a good chance that given our playstyle and how Team 12 prepared, the Tassadar is getting banned down. They know that it's one of those heroes. There's always the question, would they then instead have maybe gone for something along the lines of Abathur? Not that super common on Battlefield of Eternity, but also not unheard of for them in particular. So I really like that they committed to a Tassadar Tracer over Malfurion Tracer on the first rotation.
Could they not get Kharazim here now? Shad played well in the last game. It's a known Tracer counter. Uther and Malfurion are banned. Team 12 doesn't have their support yet.
It could, but I would be fearful of a Kharazim against a Cassia. A bit difficult, lines coming in, a little bit too much on the dive. You could chase a Genji down, but I think I'd rather a safer support on the backside. They pick up Stukov instead.
Shad Stukov has been very good.
Yes, he has.
Yeah, so Uther banned out because of Genji, but it also forces Team 12 to eliminate more supports since they themselves don't want Malfurion to be on the opponent's side. There's still Rehgar available that we have seen a lot here. Rehgar has been played 11 times. He won 7 out of those 11 games, so it's a very good chance that Team 12 is going for Rehgar. But as we heard, there's of course other options too. Kharazim can be played as well.
Yeah, the Kharazim, I think, is probably going to be the choice here. It gives you that secondary protection with the Divine Palm that could go in there. Buds has also played this quite a few times, and he's actually undefeated so far, 4 for 4.
Right.
And this is definitely something that could complement that dive-style Cassia. You get good AoE heals because Cassia's range is shorter than most other auto-attack heroes, so you can make sure that you get value out of that big heal. So I feel Kharazim's going to be there, but I feel when we look at the other one, we've got to look at where Goku is going to lie in this draft. Although I do have to caution that Goku has played Genji once in the past. They end up with Rehgar.
Rehgar and Garrosh coming in for Team 12. Looking to grab some picks. If you do ever get a taunt on that Tracer, or even a Tassadar, sure, you can get the kill out.
What is Zomany going to go for now, though? Because we could still see something along the lines of Leoric. We have seen a lot of Sonya on the map, and it really caters towards the damage output against the Immortal. We have seen one Sonya so far that was in this series by Team 12, and they lost it. Sonya has been fallen off again a little bit, but if there is a team that will, in Europe, play Sonya, it's definitely the Zealots.
Could he venture back down the Malthael route? I know it kind of fell off in EU, but against Garrosh, maybe?
Possible.
Hasn't won a game with him, right?
It's been in a while. It's been a
0-4.
Okay. Other options. Illidan wouldn't work here. Trying to think of top laners that you would pull out randomly if you were to get something crazy going on.
That would be pretty crazy, right?
I mean, Leo is still up and available. He's had Leo a few times.
Yeah, I just don't think Malthael. They had 2-2 in the regular season. They really struggled. If not Sonya, then it has to be Leoric. With the win ratio that he has at this tournament and how often he was placed in this series, early pick on the last map for them. This is the third time that they play Leoric right now, so it's really a fallback option at this point.
Put it all on
I don't think it's a bad one.
Yeah?
No, that's not a bad fallback option.
All right, the drafts are in for this possible last game. What do we think? Do we feel like it's enough that Team 12 have brought out to take us to Game 5 on Battlefield?
I'm worried. Team 12 has lacked any consistency in their drafts thus far. It just seems like every single draft they're trying something different. And it doesn't, normally you kind of have, all right, this is the core concept of what our strategies kind of rely on. And it seems like they've just kind of been like, all right, here, here, here. And we have different battlegrounds that have different priorities, but it just seems like the core concept, they don't necessarily have that direct, I guess, thing that you would anticipate from top teams. And it just seems like they're constantly trying something different. I don't know how I feel about this draft.
We'll keep it going then. Is your prediction for Zealots? Is this a change in J-House vote? Has he been swayed?
What are you saying?
The lack of Kharazim to deal with the Tracers scares me a bit, and I want to spite Kaldor, so I'm going to stay with Team 12.
Smart plays there. I look at Zealots here, I think they have the options, and they have displayed so far in this series that they can outplay their opponent and not get a spot where Cassia can get a lot of value or Garrosh gets that engaged. So I'm going to put faith in their movement, and I'm going to go ahead and go with Zealots.
I say the cat continues crying.
I don't. I think we're going to get a happy cat here.
Tracer is just too strong in this tournament, and I think that's going to hold true.
I think she's strong, and I want to caution that Team 12 has to clean up their play. They got to clean it up so much for this game. But I have a lot of faith in the Garrosh for Justing, and I have a lot of faith in the Dansky Cassia. We got to go to the game. So let's get the predictions from the chat, and then we'll hear from you about why I'm wrong. Maybe afterward, we'll see. We'll see. I think I'm going to prove you right. Or prove you wrong. There you go. Zealots, 78%, continuing to climb. But I have faith that we're going to go to a Game 5. What do you guys think, Dreadnought and Vandy?
I think cats have 9 lives. I ain't scared. It doesn't matter. They've gone down a couple, but we've got some in store. Team 12, I think they're going to be able to stick with it. What about you, Vandy?
I reckon Team 12, they are looking like they've got, I guess, some fight in them, but Zella's got everything that they wanted. So I think we might see a sad cat this game.
You know, we'll dabble a bit more into this in the draft and some of the things happening here. But first, to start it off, is going to be Team 12 here, fighting for their tournament lives. Going to be Goku on the Tyrael, Cure playing Cassia, Dansky on the Genji, Buds playing Rhaegar, and Garrosh played by Justing.
And decked out in the red, we have Team Zealous with Mopsio playing ETC, ADRD on that Tassadar, Chris playing Tracer, Shad on Stukov, and Lucky Last Sarmony on Leoric.
I want to compliment, I feel like, what we heard from J-How, because I feel like he nailed it on the head. That every draft out of the Team 12 in this roster seems to be, you know, kind of avoiding this core composition with the individual variables of like, oh, this maybe we can replace with this hero if they ban it. It just kind of feels grasping, if you will, just clawing at anything they can get their hands on, no cap puns intended. But it really, it seems panicked, and I do feel concerned, but again, North America, they're pretty good with deathball compositions, clumping up and grouping. BOE is a very skirmish-oriented map, and I think that might be what they're hoping to rely on if they're going to be victorious.
It is, and I mean, BOE, as you said, it takes away the macro. I feel like that's Team 12's way of saying, okay, this is where we've been losing on most. Let's try and take it out of the equation. Let's bring it back, and then also get a draft that complements the way we want to play.
See Zealots waiting in the wakes. Not going to get too aggro there as they were waiting for the mini wave to be able to pressure out. And generally speaking, both of these teams do not have, well, let me take that back. They don't they are going to be worried about the side lanes. Nice silence into the pulse bomb kill there. I didn't think that we would see Zealots be able to get that aggro kill that close to the front wall. That was...
Shad, you got at landing those silences. That lockup was what they needed.
And there's no way out of that type of situation once the silence goes down, but the fact that Zealots was there for quite some time. It's not like that was new information, right? Because we saw the gank, the posturing out, and the fact that that pick can still happen into that 2 versus 4, that is some of the uncharacteristic trends it feels like we see here from Team 12. At the stage, the pressure is very much there, but what I was talking about was fear of the side lanes, that neither one is going to put too much consideration towards that. Most of this is going to be focusing towards the fights on the objective, except for Zealots. Zealots has a really good, between the Leo, Tassa, and even debatably ETC in the right situation to go to those side lanes, look to get that soak, and that's where I feel like they're going to be pulling ahead in experience unless Team 12 somehow can just all-out brawl against Zealots.
Yeah, I mean, you really said it very nicely, because where we're already seeing Team 12, their opportunity comes in that brawl, getting those picks, not really allowing them to utilize the wave clear that they've drafted for in terms of Zealot.
Very, standard transition here for Team 12 is you saw ETC looking at maybe cut them off and get some form of an invade, but Zealots decide to back out of that and go with a bit slower rotation. Even just posturing up there from Mopsio, it puts enough threat to where you even see the Cassia and Garrosh go back to anchor for the team. And even though in solo queue that might not get you too much, at the professional level, that kind of information is what can make and break a game.
Yeah, it really is. Vision is everything. We've seen time and time again why it's so key and why teams are scared to face check that bush. I mean, Chinese bush meta, that was a thing that came around, Chinese bush strats. And I guess it just really showed how key Vision can be, how key playing with the fog can be.
Yeah, the Chinese bush meta, man, they were so good at it. I feel like they made their own bushes. Like they just set it up wherever the heck they wanted. Power slide goes in, pulse bomb not landing on a cure. Silence still there for Shad, but it's not enough to get a kill. Keep in mind that pulse bomb hits, that's very likely going to be a dead Cassia, but this is something Team 12 might want to look to capitalize on. But look at this laning mismatch. Tyrael into the Zarmini there with the Shaman Camp behind him. Everything about this, and that's what I was talking about with those side lanes and this experience, is because Team 12 doesn't really have that much wave clear and focus, it's going to be very, crucial for Zealots to get that side, so get the advantage there. Bud's out of position. Pulse bomb down. And the Shad, again with the lurking arm, is enough to get the damage and the kill. Dansky's looking for a reset. Zarmini gets flipped over. They do not end up getting the reset necessarily, but the kill, it's there.
Zarmini also does not mind if he dies. He can easily use that passive to get back into the swing of things. It's really just like with the Leoric, when he does die, you know what? I'm just going to give it to you, Dred. I'm too tired.
Power slide came out on top of the BOE Immortal stun, but it's not enough for Goku. Chris, man, you see every single time Mopsio was able to prep anybody up into a front line whatsoever, the immediate follow-up from Chris to try and threaten them out, zone them off. But for now, Team 12, they got to be pretty satisfied with the amount of damage they have on the Immortal. It's not enough to kick off the halftime show, getting out maybe a bit too far.
Trying to poke. Trying to get some damage down onto Mopsio as well. You can see Cure. Any chance he gets, he's going to lay down that damage. Mopsio, though, that big power slide.
And the silence right underneath the stun again. So often do we see ETC focused on as a pick or a pen, especially out of the European region on this map. And there is very much a reason why Mopsio is showing you cannot dodge those Immortal stuns with the double crowd control. Zarmini out a bit too far, possibly onto top. But Shad, as always, man, he is there to help the team. Not only there with the Q, the lurking arm disabling Team 12. I mean, the cat might be crying because it can't speak. Shad's just silenced the hell out of it.
What's the saying? Cat got your tongue?
Yeah, exactly.
Woohoo! All right.
Or I guess he's got the cat's tongue. I don't know.
He's got the cat's tongue. That's what it is. And look, the halftime show, the race is on now. It's going to be decided by the slimmest of margins. And there you have it. This time, Team 12, they managed to get the Immortal, and that's got a tiny shield, however. This gives them a bit of breathing room, except, oh my goodness.
Lose Cure, they can't push with this. If they end up losing a member, Dansky goes in onto Chris. Mopsio ends up dropping there. Zarmini's going to Wraith Walk, but eventually Dansky will, without a doubt, be able to lock down this, send him over to Ghost form, and that's now a huge amount of siege capable for Team 12 with this composition. They don't have necessarily the best siege in the world, but they have that kind of death ball, and when you lose members like that, that provides more opportunities to get big dives. So Zealots needs to make sure that they kind of play it safe here, as this very first Immortal wasn't necessarily undoubtedly going over to Team 12.
It really wasn't, and I like that Team 12, they felt like it wasn't going to be, we should just give it up. They still tried for it, they got it, and this is going to give them that breathing space that they really felt that they needed.
I do have a little bit of concerns with the fact that Tyrael was willing to commit to bottom rather than a 5-man on top. That was a moment where I can't help but feel like Team 12 with the 2-man up should have looked to confirm opening up the map in those small windows of opportunities they've gotten, because later on with their lack of macro, Pulse Bomb and a Cure, he will keep himself up. With the lack of macro, not in the playstyle, but just purely on the composition, they might be really longing for the vision control and the map control that top lane, top fort would have had for them, as I'm assuming Leo and ETC and Tassadar, again, are going to be very problematic in the experience department at the back half of this game.
And that experience really would have benefited them because that race for 10 is on, giving them a little bit of that opportunity to see if they could force a team fight while Zealots were still trying to get it. In the top lane, however, you can see a little bit of that skirmish or a little bit of that positioning. Mopsio waiting in that bush. Power slide goes out.
Immediate cleanse being used. Silence. Drop by Shad. Knock up on to Mopsio. Flipped over. Not too much damage. 10 is going to be here for Zealots, and they know it. Parting gift use, but not going to get too aggro there. I can't help but... It's one of those high-risk calls, but one that I wouldn't doubt and put past Zealots there to be like, you know what? We have the spike by just 0.5 seconds. Take
bit.
the all-in.
But I also like that both teams respected that disengage when they were seeing nothing was going in their favor. That just shows a lot of restraint.
Talking about the, kind of taking a step back here, both teams looking to do so with Mercenaries. Team 12 starts with a Shaman Camp, whereas the Khazra just picked up for Zealots. Zealots, that's more a bit of a fodder, and honestly, it's going to give them an advantage. Not only are they able to time their Shaman Camp, in theory, slightly better than that of Team 12, the Khazra Camp is not only going to draw aggro for longer, but it's going to buy them more time when it comes to control over the objective. What I'm trying to say, TLDR here, is that now Zealots have bought themselves at least 20 more seconds on the objective, where I'm expecting another power slide boop onto an Immortal Stun, and we lose a Team 12 member.
And on top of that as well, you had ADRD pushing along with that Khazra as well to give it the best chance. However, Team 12, they took that window to then lay out a lot of damage onto that Immortal.
Yeah, they took a really long time to be able to pick up that camp. Maybe picking up the Khazra camp hurt them more than it helped them because it was a bit too slow. Got a lot of free damage there onto the Immortal. Shad's getting pressured down. Sanctification used from Goku, but gaining no value. Dainsky actually dropped the Dragon Blade for the synergy, and that is going to be, wow, 2 100-second cooldowns used to gain really not a lot here in that skirmish.
Zarmany as well, tied up in the bottom lane, was clearing out the Shaman camp that Team 12 picked up. But what this then meant was that the more that they could delay, you could see what Zealots wanted them was to respond to that top lane pressure. Then they were willing to fight.
So now, with those 2 major cooldowns, Zealots are going to get aggressive. They move up to this Immortal. They know they don't have to worry about the timing of the halftime show. It's just, can Mopsio catch him off of the flank? He does have a mosh pit, keep in mind. Good knockback, and just going to even out the HP on the Immortal.
Seeing now, they both want to win this Immortal because it'll set them up for a very nice push, as well as set them up very, very nicely for that 13 talent. But Zarmany, while all of this has been happening, he's been constantly pressuring that bot lane.
Chris just dropped a recall. You're not in a position to maybe drop a Valkyrie or try and threaten any more from him. Chris and friends can move up. Mopsio goes in. Mosh pit, but it's going to be a solo dance party. Interrupted there with the nice pull in. Ancestral connects onto Cure. The interrupt and everything, but the armor keeping him alive. Shad doing his best to heal out. Chris ends up dropping there to Cure. They drop another, and now Team 12, they're looking for more and get aggressive because that counter initiation was so clean, Vandy.
It was really well done, and I mean, I love what Team 12 did with that. They didn't overcommit, and the call was there as well. When Mopsio, once that mosh finished, let's focus the cow. Let's get him down. And that's exactly what they did.
Very well done, and it's going to earn them another Immortal here. A little bit less HP, and I want to see if the decision-making is going to be similar to that of what we saw before. Debatably, it was, a little bit more justified in the fact that this was pre-10. Death timers are a lot shorter as well. So it looks like Team 12 is comfortable committing here to a full 5 versus 5. So what that means is expect the dive here. You already see Goku looking for the collapse down below. Zealots could get the scout. Tassadar has the opportunity to Oracle. Not going to do it yet.
Zarmany working on that top fort, but now in the meantime, Valkyrie goes out, but it misses.
Valkyrie missing might be a cooldown they're going to need. Recall is then used there. Shad having a great lurking arm is going to stop the advance there of Team 12 and maybe secure the kill onto Chris. Immortal shielding is just now going to be rid of here at the keep, and now Zarmany is looking to join in. Zealots have a 5 versus 5. Wraithwalk not used quite yet. Goku gets the Eldruins. There's the Entomb with the boss stun. Great cleanse there onto Goku. It's going to be able to keep him up.
They don't have Mosh yet, though. Mosh is still on cooldown.
Sanctification is here. Look at Team 12. They want to try and dive. The keep down. Goku splits the grounds with Holy Ground. And look at this, they aren't able to get the key. Now the retreat, there is the Wraith Walk. The advance is going to be here. 7 seconds for a lot of the ults on the side of Zealots, but they are not going to pull the trigger, at least not yet.
Team 12 are happy to disengage. And I mean, they didn't want to press it too far. That's showing a lot of restraint. They already knew that they used a lot of heroics in the lead up to that keep push. And they weren't going to overcommit. They weren't going to stay and let Zealots have that opportunity to counter-engage.
I feel like that's one of those opportunities that I still, even though I can understand the patience that you don't have to initiate, I would have liked to see it, I feel like, from Team 12. That is one of the better situations for them within this game, and that most of the time it's not very reliable to get a Sanctification initiation, but defending, even if you don't get the kill, like for instance, looking at the Sanct up a mid, you at least get free damage on the keep, something of the like here for their efforts. But the keep is going to still stand. Zealots still get a lot of time onto the map. And honestly, they haven't gotten enough advantage around the Immortals with the side soak for this later stages of the game to be too concerning. But at any point, they could just shift the dynamic and suddenly maybe paint a different picture.
The side soak's been helping them when they lose that team fight, right? Because they're keeping up with that experience, making sure that they don't fall too far behind. These Immortals, though, the longer and the game goes on, we know they scale incredibly well, and that's where I'm starting to get worried, because I'd like to see Zealots, if they are going to win, it needs to be sooner rather than later.
I very much agree with you there. This game, has found a position for Team 12 to have those opportunities to come back in, and it's realistic that it could be right here where that is going to kind of open up, or at least get a keep for Team 12. Neither team is going to have a major advantage. Both teams, like every other Immortal phase, are going to back out, pick up the Shaman Camp, try and time it better than the other. Neither team gains an advantage with this, just purely based on the fact that, structurally speaking, it's near dead even. That's not true. Because the keep front wall was taken by Team 12, in theory, it will get the keep pretty fast compared to that of Zealots, but the lane not being prepped in their favor also is going to hurt them in that time sensitivity.
Zamini is taking a lot of damage now, just trying to scout out for his team. You can already see the prioritization. Just clear that Shaman Camp, we'll worry about the fight then. But always with Team 12 as well, they're lurking around, making sure that they're not going to be both teams now protecting their Immortals, because what we saw last time was, remember, when that Shaman Camp was then prioritized, we saw Team 12 trying to lay down, get a lot of that early damage in on the Immortal.
Mopsio is waiting on the side, and since we are past the post 13 mark, Goku does have Holy Ground, which is going to make the initiations and these chokes around mid and the kind of awkward attempts of forcing that we've seen out of Team 12 a lot cleaner if any member of Zealots is going to isolate. That being said, with that in mind, I mean, both teams want to prioritize being defensive. Both are very, very good at forcing a fight at that awkward BOE Immortal stun.
I mean, we're already just sort of having like a standoff at this Immortal phase, but finally now Team 12, they managed to press in. But that pulse bomb going on, he's gonna fall. He's so close to the Ancestral Connect.
The armor is enough to keep him alive.
Oh my God.
After the pulse bomb, Buds hits a clutch Ancestral, but we have to keep in mind that's just a pulse bomb for an Ancestral. That is very much a winning trade for Zealots. So this is a moment where we can expect them to possibly get aggressive. Team 12 did make the transition towards top, maybe rid of the fort, but it's going to be matched by Zealots. Both teams will hit their 16 talent tiers at, once again, near identical timings.
That armor was the saving grace of Garrosh right there. That's just that minute second for the Ancestral to connect. It means that Team 12 now, they do not get punished at all, and they have their 16 talents to work with. Zealots now working to get theirs, and then we're sure to see another skirmish happen.
Goku goes in, gets rooted by Shad. He's going to be silenced. Power slide, no mosh pit used yet. Goku eats a pulse bomb, forced to use the Sanctification. Dainsky with the Dragon Blade, but nobody there. Massive shove is going to be a bit of a whiff here. And look at this, Zealots is looking to push them back. Uses the Entomb, Wraith Walk furthering the advance, power slide in. And Mopsio still not going to pull the trigger there onto the mosh pit. I thought for sure in one of those two huge power slides for him, they might end up pulling the trigger there, but gonna play it a little bit slower. Man, Shad with the root in the silence. This guy is disgusting.
Knew that they had to pass through that corridor as well. The taunt goes out onto Zamini. He is dropping, he falls.
And it's enough to be able to get the kill on the Leo, but it's just a Leoric. It's going to be a hero that can make it back faster, and it's only going to be problematic if Team 12 can use that 20 seconds here to get this Immortal before that of Zealots. We'll find out as you see them focusing down. Pulse bombs being prepped onto that Immortal up above from Chris.
Forced to back away now. Zamini, he's still trying to lurk, make sure that he can get that respawn. And on the side of Zealots as well, surely they're waiting for that. Mopsio, he's been holding on. He wants to make sure that this mosh that he lands has impact.
I can't help but wonder is, maybe that first mosh pit and not having the impact he was hoping to have there was maybe part of the reason we see him being overly patient here at this stage of the game with it. But we'll find out. I really feel like it's going to, when we see him use it, I feel like it's going to be the mosh pit that wins this game for Zealots.
Hopefully so. I mean, when you're that patient, exactly like you said, it needs to be game-changing. It needs to be able to give them impact and swing them right into the swing of things. But on the side of Team 12 as well, look at how defensive they're playing. Neither team wanting to overstep, neither team willing to engage just yet.
Zealots waited long enough for the 2 major heroics being used by Team 12 to come back online. So now this is where Team 12 should be the ones looking to advance. The map pressuring against them for now might be something they want to restore before getting aggressive. The information of Genji making the rotation has now been conveyed. Nice holy ground, but Chris is able to squeak through. Root silence is there. Power slide forces cleanse and ancestral. Again, Shad forces major cooldowns out of the support. Now will Zealots be able to capitalize on this? Because to be honest, they've been struggled to be able to do so here over the team fights, especially in the later stages, Vandy.
I really echo your sentiments, and a lot of that reason is because we saw a lot of cooldowns being used on Team 12 previously, but there was just no follow-up from Zealots when they had all of theirs available, and we were just wondering, what are you waiting for? This is as good a time as any.
You saw Mopsio looking for a flank, but then too much damage and pressure. Taunt is used. Pulse bomb
That's
dropped.
what they were waiting
Cassia
for.
is already out of here. Nice kill there. There goes the mosh pit. We see the Eldruin's follow up there to try and get the Holy Ground split. Massive shove pushing out Dansky. He's going to switch strike out, but with 1 kill and a huge win there onto the team fight, this is going to be Zealots earning themselves an Immortal.
Their patience finally paid off. I'm so happy to see that for Zealots because I felt for a long time, I was just wondering, I'm like, you're even on talents. You've made them use some really impactful heroics. Why aren't you going in for the kills? Why aren't you going in? But they were saying we were waiting for a moment like this. That priority pick onto Cassia just opened and blew that team fight wide open.
Zealots has the decision of making the opportunity of either matching with this Immortal or risking possibly going to a different lane, but there is not very good siege on their end to justify maybe going for the opposite and going for a double keep play here. So they're going to play a lot safer, a lot standard. The biggest thing to keep in mind is not allowed to get dove in past and just really get punished here. But as long as Tyrael is the side lane clear, which is again a big problem for Team 12, they have nothing to fear. Now Tyrael's gone rogue. Expect Zealots to play a bit safer here and then look to get advanced. By the way, Valkyrie actually missing. Kira gets knocked back. They end up getting the kill. Sanctification comes out, but it's a little bit too late. Taunt there as the Entomb is going to trap down Garrosh. Justin getting a lot of armor. Dansky even trying to distract, but this Immortal has enough shielding that, or excuse me, health that Zealots does not care. They're going to go for core.
And they're also weakened with that Cassia down. That's a lot of their damage that they need to shred down their Immortal. I am really, really worried on the side of Team 12 now.
I think this is going to be it. Zealots 70% and counting. The Immortal is not even going to go down here. They will end up sending home Team 12 in this best of 5, 3-1.
Zealots, I feel like they were a slow starter for this one, but when push came to shove, they were able to close this game. And it just took a bit of that patience to make it all happen.
Very well done there from Zealots. The control on that in that series, especially that final game from them, was insane. I mean, Shad, from beginning to end in the series, you talked about how often that Stukov is prioritized, and for them it's higher than almost every other team, or every other player really at this tournament, and I can't help but feel like he totally justified it throughout the game. I mean, I feel like Team 12 missed only 5 or 6 kills, and it's all because Shad is sitting there with a lurking arm just going, I dare you.
I double dare you, right? That lurking arm, it just was so impactful, and the way Shad, you could see the position